Yes guys, welcome from me, Championship Manager 0102, the free-man online epic game. Now, a little bit of excitement in me on this particular video, a little bit of P, because it was a very, very successful conclusion to season 127, well, successful at least for me anyway. So, we hammered out a, it was almost a 6-hour session yesterday. We started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and we finished just before 9 o'clock. I think we had about a 10-minute stop at one point and another 10-minute stop at another point. It was a proper fucking old school session, and Pep's been off work this last week, so we've actually put in an hour each night as well, which has really seen us really soldier on. So we've concluded the season 127. And that's how it ended. If you've already checked my Facebook update or the forums update, you might already have seen this. But there you see a very, very successful season for me individually. You know, we went the distance, we held our nerve, and we were unbeaten. Now, of course, one of the other big things to point out, that is a huge, huge increase for Pep. Huge improvement, shall I say, sorry. He finished second, which is obviously the first time in a long, long time for Pep. You can see there how long it's been since he finished second, since 7 years. But he needs to make an assault on the title. He's not won it. It's going to be 20 years since he last won the title next year. So he can't, you know, he needs it. For me personally, it was quite fairy tale because my squad is really set up well. More about that in a moment. Let's have a look now then. My last game, the Champions League. And there you see, the Champions League. You know, it was fairy tale. No doubt about fairy tale end to the season because it was a deserved victory as well. And without giving too many spoilers away, the FA Cup final went to, there you see, the FA Cup final went to me after a bit of a shaky start. Little bit frustrated. The League Cup, Ian won the League Cup in very, very convincing way indeed. He hammered the AI Tottenham 6-0. So well done to Ian there. So Pepe ended up trophyless, but whilst it's an improvement in his league form, still trophyless, which bottom line is that still isn't really acceptable. Tottenham made it fourth yet again, so they'll be in the Champions League with us next season. Of course, next season it will be the World Club Cup Championships, which of course I will be in, following my triumph in the Champions League. I would imagine, we're at June, so we'll see an overhaul from Ian, I would imagine. Now, Ian did buy one player from me. Now, you're going to probably question to yourself, why did I let such a player go? I think it's Lukaku Regen, the guy that I let go. And I'll show you, it was that guy there, and you can see how well he's done for Ian since he arrived. There is a reason, there's a method to my madness. I did offer this guy to Pep. Pep wasn't interested in the deal that I proposed, so it was fine. Very, very good player, and the player I got, I say players I got, they were defensive players. This is what I was working on. More about that in a moment as to why I needed them. But basically, let's start with my goalkeepers. My little young Italian, he's been virtually present all season long. I think my backup goalkeeper had 2 games, who is going. I'm having a bit of an overhaul of players going out. And I've brought this Nigerian. I thought I had a third goalkeeper. Oh, I have, yeah. I've got. I'm not sure where I've got him in reserves. Okay. Oh, yeah. I've got a target. I'm tracking the new goalkeeper. Not going to go on to that because I know who it is. So, my formation, you may recall, I called it on my Salford game. It's this formation. I called it Speed Freak. And I just forgot to reload it, and I didn't really just rename it, so I've just left it as it is. So the 3 centre-halves, very much like my original middleman, well, very, very much like the middleman. I think the only difference is that central midfielder who's on the right side, he's moved over. So, and that's been my formation, I think, virtually all season. I had the very first 2 games I played, let's have a look. No, it was the very first game. I just opted, I changed it for the Intercontinental Cup. and the rest is history, because when we played Man United, this was the thing, you see, to finish unbeaten and to play against my biggest rivals. I mean, I played Pepe fuck knows how many times. So Ian in the league, 3-2 winners, which was great. Pepe in the league, 3-0 winners. Look at those stats. We played Pepe in the League Cup. We thrashed him. We then got knocked out of the League Cup. Our only defeat this season came at the hands of Leicester City in the League Cup. We did have a little bit of a blip of run. I'll show you that in a minute. We had Pepe in the FA Cup, which we convincingly beat him yet again. We had back-to-back league games. Ian, we just edged it, and that was a close one because he was winning with 9 minutes to go. Then he had a man sent off, and that was the difference. And then we played Pep, and we convincingly beat him again. Our blip of form really came around here. We had a 3-3 draw against Division 1 side Cardiff in the FA Cup, which meant we had to have a replay. I mean, in terms of the against, we conceded 2 against Inter. The Germans then it was their first point in that group, and it was almost a bit of a blip because we then drew with Fulham in the league, and the first leg of the Champions League quarterfinals, we got Tottenham, and I was really pissed off about that. But we drew 1-1, and this is how we just scraped through, because we only went through on away goals. We scraped through in the FA Cup final, to the final, sorry. Or I say scraped in terms of on goals we did. So, it was a shaky run towards the end, but we held firm. Now, Man United, they've held second the whole season, right until the last game of the season when they lost at Sunderland. And that's what let Pep leapfrog into second, which of course, with me winning the Champions League, means Pepe will get straight into the Champions League group stages. Ian's Man United will play some qualifying matches. So let me just talk about my strikers. Now, this was the reason why I let Carlia go. We all remember that machine of a Colombian striker that Ian had, who scores ridiculous amounts of goals. You may recall that I picked up his regen, although a little bit older than your average kid. So there's his regen. He did get injured towards the back end, so he missed out on the Champions League final. But you can see this is one of the reasons why I got rid of Carlia, because I have this guy scoring goals like they're going out of fashion. We then managed to land. Just bought re-sign here, but he's for the reserves. I then managed to sign Zlatan. You may recall from the last video, I can't quite remember, but Zlatan's only had a few games, Latin region, shall I say. And this is the big thing. We also had this guy we bought a season ago. Look at him. He's an absolute fucking monster, isn't he? He really is. And then if that weren't brilliant, I've still got this guy here who I beat to Pepe Ian about a year ago, but he's been injured all season. He had a groin injury. So that's why I sold Carlia. I was able to get. You may recall this guy. Recognise who that's a regen of? Well, I say who I think it's a regen of. I'm pretty sure it's Robben, and he's been very good for me. We've got him. We've got what I believe is Eden Hazard. My biggest area that I wanted to work on was defence, so I've worked on that quite well. Defensive midfield. So I've offloaded my central midfielders. I wouldn't normally do this, right, but I even offloaded. I sold him. Now I was happy to flog this guy. Because I didn't. I was happy to sell him for straight cash, even to my rivals. Ian came in with 22.5. Yep, and Pep matched it, and he chose Pep. Now the funny thing is, right, the reason I've decided to sell him because I weren't using him defence. I don't really want to use midfield centres. I'd rather use defensive midfielders in that slot going forward and attacking midfielders in that slot going forward a bit further up. So whilst he's not really a natural central defender, not with that sort of positioning, I was happy for him to go. And he's had a good game with Pep, to be fair. He's had one game. And the same applies. Now you're going to look at this player and think, what the fuck? He's a central midfielder, so I was happy for him to go. I think naturally he's probably more of a right winger, but he's not attacking, so I was happy to let him go. Pep came in for a bid. Ian came in for a bid. He chose Pep. Pep is, depending on what formation Pep is going to play. Let's have a look what he's been playing. Yeah, he's been playing his original back four. I think he flipped to the same as my formation when he played me, but that was really a case of quality. I don't think he'll move. I don't think he'll switch formation, to be honest with you. I think he'll keep it as is. So Pep's best player this season, Herzog. I'm Germany manager. Probably Herzog, 31 goals. No one's really. They've not had massive amounts of games. Yeah, Herzog's probably been his standout player in what has been, I don't know, a successful season. I think it would be fair to say. Over to Ian. Let's have a look at his most successful this season. It's got to be the Czech striker. He won the Footballer of the Year actually ahead of my Colombian, but I think that's bullshit anyway. But yeah, great season for him. Carlia, obviously, as you know, he started off well. Rastelli's going, which I'm quite surprised at. 835 and he's selling Rastelli. I don't know, it's quite interesting. Megani, Doyle's done really well again. Now, my philosophy on this formation, right, like I said, what I called it a speed freak, because I had this little fucking noise in my head. The players all had to have good speed, so the only player that I think I would afford to not have good speed is this central defender, and then I'd take his arrow off. But I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out my arse, but I can't be talking too much shit for the simple reason I've had a good season. I did bring in a couple of central attacking midfielders. They're not the greatest, but now this one, I've worked out, he's a regen of a Spanish that I had. I thought it was Uruguayan, Medina, and that's why I got him. And I think there's potential in this guy, I really do. Although he's not really a crosser, so he would play in the middle. I wouldn't play on the wing. I also picked up that guy. Now, he does look decent, although he is, he's going to be 29 soon. My objective is to try and get 1 year out of him. He's an ex-Man United player, and he's had a good start to life for Chelsea. So, good player there. As I said, I purchased this guy purely for the reserves. I'm really working hard on the reserves. I've not even moved him, have I? Yeah, I've not even moved him over. I'm really working hard on the youngsters. Let me show you a few players that are going. So, Fonseca is leaving for £90 million. He'll be leaving. He's caused me a lot of problems in their skipping training. Everyone dislikes him. The same with my Slovenian goalkeeper. He's going to Atletico Madrid. And this guy, Baldasira, he is leaving for £200 million, believe it or not. He's going for £100 million and then another £100 million after one international appearance. But money isn't an issue. Money is clearly not an issue. I have asked the board for an increase in stadium, and they have concurred. I think on one match I got 52,250, but I'm pretty sure the council will block it, and then I just won't bother asking them no more. I just have to accept it. I keep getting a lot of offers for Elliot Davidson. Atletico keep coming back in for him, but my plan is to maintain 3 defensive midfielders. I think I might offload a defender or 2. I don't want to, in terms of my defence, like I said, this is what my main defenders have been: Chirico, Bazon, and Slavic. Now, Slavic is still only 23 years of age. He's got a good high value. And then I've got some backup players. Doyle picked up here and there, a bit inconsistent. Assad, I've got a couple of targets that I want to go for. What was the other player that I saw then? We looked at him. So, yeah, so that is that. Now, there is a player that did get a couple of games in my reserves. The player I've moved to the reserves. I've moved this guy to the reserves. He's had half a dozen senior games. Another player called Arias. But I've moved him over because I just think I've got a lot of competition on the wings. But it's not over for this guy, by no means. I just recently purchased Ate. Doesn't look great, isn't brilliant, but he is purely for the reserves. Paid a lot of money for him. And let me show you about this guy here, Alex Torre. He's had a few games for me here and there. He looks good, don't he? He hasn't really been brilliant for me, but a long way to go for him. Diop, I'm keeping an eye on Diop as well. So I've offloaded all my central midfielders in the resis. I've worked on a few defensive players. Who's that Moro? I'm keeping an eye on that guy. I brought him. He's a regen of an old defender left centre that we used to have called Gomez. I worked out that he's the regen, so I'm keeping an eye on him. And he is on a shitty wage, so if worst cases I'll fuck him off. Benitez looks good as well, although worrying with decisions and dribbling. determination over here. So we'll see how he goes. He's not done that great. As I said, I am looking at another goalkeeper. Martinelli will go into the resis. Well, he is in the resis. And even up top, I mean, Kuhn is in my reserves. He's played a lot of games for me because with injuries, but he is only 18. And he's still got 8 years left on his contract. But what a player, actually. What a fucking monster. Memic, decent striker. 14 goals in the resis. Martin is okay. Yeah, that's that. So that is where we are at now. Let's talk about the international side of things now then. Let's just come off. We've got no one. So I am Germany. Now our very first game in Germany started off with a defeat, believe it or not. It started with a defeat against Poland. And I went straight into that new setup formation. But as you can see, we went on to win some crucial games. And then a ridiculous game against Poland in a return game where we won 6-4. Absolutely insane game. We got beat in a recent friendly. So what we got? We've got 3 more World Cup qualification games for the World Cup 21-42. We have also got the Confederations Cup coming up during pre-season. And then after the World Cup, I will leave Germany. It was only ever, in my little mindset, a 2-year contract. And then I'm going to have a break from international football. In terms of my rivals, so Ian is Brazil. Oh, let's have a look something a minute. Oh god, what a complete fucking mind blowing. So Ian is Brazil. Pep's not. Oh, do you know? I didn't even realise. I thought Pep was So Ian's Brazil, and Brazil are, well, they've already qualified for the World Cup. So yeah, what's he in? Let's just look what he's got. The Copa America coming up this season. Then, so he's got the Copa America. I've got the he's in the Confederations as well. So okay, we'll see how that goes. Then he's going to have a friendly. So big year for him on the calendar year for Brazil, indeed. And that is where we're at, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this little update here. I've been quite excited about doing this first thing this morning. But more importantly, you know, I mean, it's easy me doing it the way I'm doing it because I had a good season. I would imagine deep down Pep and Ian are a little bit gutted, especially Ian to finish third at the very last knock-ins. But in fact, if I show you that, so that's how it was with. Ian did have a game in hand. When you see Ian was in third, he did have a game in hand to go into second, and he finally won it right at the end of the season to go into second. Then he lost, bizarrely. So, and if you see Pep, there you see your Pep, and that's that. I always think this is. I don't look at this enough, really. This little graph sort of stuff. The graph is quite interesting. Our AI opponents are bogeting Tottenham. Well, they brought in this guy, which I think is Cavani. I think I wrote Cavani. Yeah, he's a Cavani regen. And a quick look at something I will show you. You're going to remember something. You are going to remember this guy. Who did I let go last season? Let go of last season after being quite a servant for me. There he is. Not him. Although I think that's David Luiz. There he is. Messi. So West Ham picked him up in Division 3, led them to glory, which I weren't even. I mean, look at that, what a fucking entertaining. And good old Scunthorpe, a backup out the bottom tier. That's quite a season. And Messi had a great season, but he did only sign a 1-year deal, so he's out of contract. Whether he'll sign a new deal, I hope he does, or whether he will move on, who knows. You'll see that we're all tracking him. Now, the bottom line is, the reason we're all tracking him is if he retires. That's the case with a lot of players. As soon as he retires, we then all go out on the hunt for his regen, which normally arrives about a month or so in game time after he retires. So that's what that's all about. I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth covering. Another interesting thing, Dragovic has had a great season for me. He came from the reserves. He's had a fabulous season, 50 games, got a good auto value. Norana, again, another one that's come from the reserves. He's been in out of the reserves, to be honest with you. Even last season, he did really well in the seniors. But I do think we've got a stronger team as we've ever had. Bullock's had a good season, 50 odd games. We've repurchased Galergo for the defensive midfield side of things. Bowen. Now, I brought Bowen. I was trying to work out who the fuck he was, because I got him at the same time as I got the Robin regen. First I thought Bale, but I don't think it is Bale. I think it's Pep said he thinks it's Bellamy, Craig Bellamy. The reason we don't think it's Bale is because we believe Bale is that guy. I don't think Bale was central in this version. We don't think. I could be wrong. It's not here or there, to be honest with you. And as you can see, the three main men then would be my assumingly Bellamy, that assumingly Bale, and that is definitely Ryan Giggs. One of my ex-players, actually. One of my ex-players. I actually offloaded him to Pep, believe it or not. Okay, that is that then, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Anything you want to know, anything you want to add, anything you want to criticise, keep it to yourself. Till next time from me, guys, it's take it easy.